Hello, third grade, and welcome to topic 9-1. We're going to be working on this lesson, which is going to be using partial sums to add. So what we're going to do is we're going to first watch our short lesson video, go over our notes, and then go over our guided practice. So let's go ahead and get started with that lesson video.
How can you break apart addition problems to solve? Margot counted 243 manatees one year and 179 manatees the next. How many manatees did Margot count altogether? You can estimate and then use place value to add the numbers. 243 is about 200. 179 is about 200. The sum is about 400 manatees. Add each place value. Start with hundreds. What is the sum of the hundreds in this problem?
Select your answer.
When you add by place value, you add the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. 300, 110, and 12 are partial sums. 243 plus 179 equals 422 manatees. You could also start by adding the ones. 243 plus 179 equals 422 manatees. 422 is close to the estimate of 400, so 422 is a reasonable sum.
Okay, now what they're doing here is instead of adding and then regrouping and carrying over like we've been doing in class, they're showing you how to do it individually by place value. So first they added all of the ones together, then they added all of the tens, then they added all of the hundreds, or they went backwards and did the hundreds and then the tens and then the ones, similar to how we do when we're using our base 10 blocks. So you have your groups of hundreds, you have your groups of tens, you have your groups of ones, and then you figure out how much those are all together. So let's go ahead and hop over to our notes for this lesson. So using partial sums to add. Now, when we say partial sums, we're saying part of the answer to an addition problem. So how can you break apart an addition problem to make solving it more easy? Well, first you want to estimate to find out about how much the sum is going to be. That way, when you solve, if the number you get is close to your estimate, that's a good way to check that you're on the right track. Another thing you can do is add each place value separately, like we just saw in the short video, or you can use base 10 blocks to help you see it more easily. So the example I gave you here is 362 plus 524. So the first thing I want to do is estimate. So I rounded to the nearest hundred, 362 rounded to 400, 524 rounded down to 500, 400 plus 500 gave me about 900. So I know my answer is going to be close to 900, but not exactly. Now here on the side, I drew my base 10 blocks. So I drew my 362, I drew my 524, and then I put together all of my hundreds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hundreds, plus my tens. So 6 tens plus 2 more tens is 80. That's 8 tens altogether. And then I had 2 ones and 4 ones, that gave me 6 ones. So 8 hundreds plus 8 tens plus 6 ones gave me a sum of 886. So if I were to stack and do it using partial sums, the way they were doing it in the video, here I added the ones together and put them on one line, put it on the ones line. Then the tens line, 6 tens plus 2 tens gave me 8 tens, which is 80. So I put that on the next line. Then I added the hundreds and put that on the next line. Now remember, if you're adding each place value, you have to remember the value of that digit. So in 362 plus 524, when you're adding the 2 and the 6, you're actually adding 2 10s and 6 10s, or you're adding 20 plus 60. You're not just adding 2 plus 6. So if you're writing it the way it's written up here, you're not doing 2 plus 6 and just putting an 8 over here. When you're using partial sums, you got to be really careful to make sure that you are remembering to apply the place value to that number. And the same rule is going to apply to your hundreds place and so on. So here's another example. 546 plus 143. Now over here, I drew my base 10 blocks. Here I stacked to add using partial sums. So I took my 500s and my 100 gave me 600s. I took my 4 10s and my other 4 10s, which gave me 8 10s, and my 6 1s and my 3 1s, which gave me 9 1s. So 600 plus 80 plus 9 gave me a sum of 689. And you can see how it was stacked and added there using partial sums. Now, if you are already comfortable with carrying over and regrouping, you can do that as well. But this method is meant to show you how to break it apart into smaller, easier pieces whenever you need to. All right, let's take a look at your guided practice. So it says, suppose you are adding 527 plus 405. What numbers would you combine when adding the tens place? So over here, I put my numbers into this chart that's labeled with place values. So my ones place, my tens place, and then my hundreds place. And I put my numbers in. So if I'm looking at 527, I know that 2 is in the tens place because it represents 20. And 405, I don't have anything in the tens place. I have a 400 and I have 5 1, so there's a 0 in there. So I would add 20 plus 0, or because there's a 2 in the tens place of 527, but there's nothing in the tens place of 405. Now for number 2, it says find the error and show how to find the correct answer. So this is our question that they gave us. This is exactly the way it's written in your book. Here you can see that the person was adding using partial sums. So 7 plus 5 they got 12. They did 3 plus 8, which gave them 11. But this isn't really 3 plus 8. We have to remember that this is 3 10s plus 8 10s, or 30 plus 80. And then their hundreds were fine. So the mistake was when they added the tens place digits. When they added, they did 3 plus 8 instead of doing 30 plus 80. Now, had they done 30 plus 80, it would not have been 11, it would have been 110. So 12 plus 110 plus 400 would have given them a sum of 522, not 423. So this is what I meant when I was telling you, be very careful if you're going to use this strategy and add with partial sums. Make sure you're applying the correct place value to your numbers. And for number 3, we had 365 plus 422. So I drew my 365 and my 422, and I grouped my hundreds and my tens and my ones together. So here I had 7 of my hundreds altogether, 8 of my tens altogether, and then 7 of my ones altogether, which changes to 700 plus 80 plus 7, which equals 787. So here you can see the partial sums. I put my ones on a line, my tens on a line, and my hundreds on a line, and then stacked and added. This is a pretty straightforward lesson. If you have any questions about it, definitely let me know, but make sure you guys are following your steps, checking your work carefully, doing it neatly, and making sure that you apply the value to the digits in the correct place. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.